This trip from Broome to Marble Bar and then across the Gibson Desert to Alice Springs has a beauty of its own, to be found nowhere else in Australia. But as beautiful as it is, it's probably the most dangerous you will ever undertake. For if one doesn't follow some simple rules, it could become fatal. First, a reliable 4x4 vehicle is a must. Second, extra fuel must be carried, and although there's quite a number of water bores on the track, extra water is a must. Be prepared for the unexpected, for at times you could be 1,000 kilometres from another living soul. Carry a directional finder, a compass or a GPS, and a good set of maps.
But that says it's access to the property only, which it shouldn't. Tracks like to get across to the Telfer Road.
An extra spare tyre won't go astray. These precautions should be taken wherever one travels the outback of Australia. Oh, and there's one more thing. Let someone know where you're going and when you should arrive.
Most of the wells on the stock route are in ruins, but well 26 was restored to its original condition in 1983. There's a visitor's book at the well, and we recorded our visit.
24th of February 2000, left Halls Creek 2.5 weeks ago. Weather been wet, but reasonably cool. Lots of water about, summer detours needed. Heading down to Lake Disappointment, then back to Tallawanna Track, into Rudolph National Park, then on to Newman, if possible. Solo, Chris Jackson, brave lad.
These login books are not a joke, for if you get lost, the search party will check them first to see if you have passed this way. Our travellers have been lucky, for it's not been long since it rained. Most years, the expected rainfall in this part of Australia is 4 to 5 inches. Even with this small amount of rain, the wildflowers are spectacular. The rainfall this year is many more times the annual rainfall, and this has turned the desert into a magnificent sea of colour. Sit back for a minute and we'll endeavour to show you just a few of the flowers. There are too many to show you them all. Frank feels like Alice in Wonderland. These beautiful displays will be embedded in your mind forever. Use the water sparingly at the wells, for these water holes are the only water for hundreds of miles. Make sure the water hole is clean when you leave, and don't use dishwashing detergents or oils in the water, or you may prevent the locals from having a drink when you leave, and this could lead to a disaster. Here's a little fellow you should give a miss to, a desert scorpion. If you have a good look without touching, you will see how well he's adapted to the desert. Don't get too close to the tail, as this is where he carries his sting. And don't kill him, for he also has a role to fulfill in this unique desert. Camels are not indigenous to Australia. They were brought here to help ferry supplies across the many Australian deserts. They have flourished in these surroundings. The Middle East, the home of these camels, is importing the wild camels, for isolation in this great country has kept them disease-free.
The phone box near well 33 is well known, but not so well known is the fact that there's now a fuel depot at the nearby Aboriginal community.
This old truck used to belong to Len Bedell, who made most of the tracks in this area of Australia. These tracks help the desert. If travellers stick to them and don't run all over the place, cutting new tracks into the sand dunes and making them susceptible to erosion, it will help to preserve the desert. And if one does get lost or breaks down, stick to the track and you'll have a good chance of being found. In the case of a breakdown, do not leave your vehicle. Most of the dunes in the Gibson Desert have not moved in 400 or 500 years and have a good cover of foliage, whereas the Sahara Desert is moving all the time. Glen Helen Gorge has some spectacular scenery. It's been quite a while since it rained here, and even though there's still water in the gorge, there's not enough oxygen in it to maintain all the fish. But then again, that's life in the desert. With the next wet, the fish will return. This is a trip of a lifetime, one you will always remember, but let's remember it for its beauty and good times, not tragedy. Do not try this trip alone, and if possible, try to take an experienced bushman with you. These Australian deserts are like a patient predator, waiting for you to make a mistake, and if that mistake is made, they show no mercy.